When the 2020 C8 Corvette was first released, there was a certain buzz that hit the market, especially for a car that represented a supercar option for Chevrolet. With so much anticipation following the unveiling of the car, orders were quick to start coming in, and before Chevrolet could even know what was happening, there was too much demand for the car that they could produce on time. Following that, the demand for the car continued to multiply, with the subsequent models also receiving the same treatment from several fans and enthusiasts. Now, with the production of the 2022 Chevy C8 Corvette already finalized and focused now on producing the 2023 model, you might be wondering or asking yourself, is this the right time to get the C8? Or is the market for the C8 finally turning? These and more are questions we will be answering today. And well, if you're curious, then you'll want to stay tuned for this. Let's go! If you're new to the channel, well, this is Lavish Luxury. And if you've not already taken the action, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And let's get you going with some of the best luxury and finance content you can think of. Now, let's head back to what we have for you today. One of the things that characterized 2020 and the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic in the automobile space was the problem of leftover supply constraints. With the COVID-19 pandemic, almost everything seemed to stop, and production of cars was pushed further up. Now, the thing with these postponed production plans was the fact that Chevrolet had already accepted several orders from those who were interested in the car, and even after things went back to normal, they still had to cover for those cars as well as other orders that came afterwards. Things became quite complicated as supply couldn't match demand, and it didn't take long before Chevrolet would close their order books earlier than normal. It also got to the extent that it was reported that some orders would not be fulfilled and would instead be shifted to another year. This trend has quite continued in the Chevrolet space, with demand always surpassing supply, which then allows the price for the car to hit new highs frequently. While the situation is still very much the same in several parts of the world where the car is sold, new information was released earlier this year in February when it was announced that Chevrolet had been upping the number of cars that they've been producing recently. The move, as expected, saw the price of the C8 Corvette go down on average, after several months of seeing the price reach insane new levels. Even though the trend didn't last long, it was still good enough to see a couple of potential buyers get their hands on the car. Now, this is something that many people had been expecting for a while, and with the C8 in its third year of production, it only still showed how well people were still willing to pay for the car. What's interesting, though, is how long it took before the C8 saw the decline in value. The C8 Corvette is, of course, a really classy car from Chevrolet that didn't quite give off any really big issues, except in the area of transmission in some of their cars. If you'd like to get more details on the transmission issues and the upgrades from Chevy, we've got a video on the channel on that. Like it was stated earlier, the trend of a decreasing price didn't really last, and not before long, Chevy had to postpone production a number of times again, then causing another supply issue. This time, the problem was more about shortage of materials for the car, and while that didn't mean good news for potential buyers, people who already owned the car seemed to be the ones who enjoyed it the most. With the supply for the car quite slim, it was soon discovered that most people were actually flipping their cars for high prices, so that they could upgrade or even save up for Chevy's golden car option, the C8 Z06. The Z06 has been in the news for a while now, and well, the car is surely meant to serve as a much better upgrade from the Stingray. Still due to be released in 2023, the Z06 is expected to smash demand records, especially as it is one of the most anticipated cars for the year of 2023. The car has been tipped to compete with some of the top luxury brands that we've got today, and while it might be a cheaper option, it still is bound to be nothing but quality. If you're interested in seeing a couple of videos explaining some of the details of the Z06, do check the channel and have your mind blown. Moving on. Just a couple of months ago, it was discovered that the C8 Corvette was still selling at high prices, with market research firm IC Cars publishing an analysis that they conducted to show which models of top cars were being sold above the manufacturer's suggested retail price, or MSRP. In the analysis, the average price listed for the C8 Corvette Stingray was pegged at about 19.3% above MSRP, or an equivalent of over $15,000. The research went further to indicate how market forces seem to affect the pricing, hence allowing potential buyers to have to think it through before buying the Stingray or swooping for the Z06 with some extra bucks. Even as this result from the analysis seemed to put the C8 in a really interesting position, it still wasn't the most overpriced car, with several other nameplates filling up the top 10 and setting up the C8 for a number 11 spot. At the top of the list was the Jeep Wrangler with a 26.7% price above MSRP. Other cars on the list include the Ford Maverick Hybrid, Porsche Macan, Jeep Gladiator, Ford Mustang, and the Mercedes-Benz GLA. Reacting to what the results meant for the Corvette, IC Car's lead analyst Carl Broer talked about how production setbacks have been the major problem holding back the Corvette Stingray ever since it was released in 2020, with the company unable to cover the extremely high demand since then. In his words, Brower said, "Demand for the mid-engine Chevrolet Corvette has exceeded supply since its launch for the 2020 model year, and its high demand contributes to the vehicle consistently selling over MSRP. New car buyers will probably have trouble finding available inventory and can expect to pay higher than average prices for vehicles that are in high demand. New car shortages are expected to persist due to the backlog of demand, and the Russia-Ukraine conflict has led to factory shutdown and pricing increases on raw materials." With this, Carl Broer went further to give his opinion on what buyers should do in times like that. The analyst said that buyers would have to go for similar options that were not being overpriced, and while that can only really be the only logical option for many of those looking to get new cars, the advice is surely not expected to work for a car like the C8, especially as it is even what is expected to be one of the cheapest options you can get from the supercar range. To further add to the speculation of whether the price for the C8 has actually turned, Corvette-based channel Brink of Speed indicated that the prices were still pretty high, and even a visit to Corvette World showed that the place was still not filled with cars as you would normally expect, suggesting that Chevrolet was still not supplying as much as expected. To make things interesting, the start of production for the 2023 C8 Corvette is not expected to have done anything to cause a decrease in these prices, as demand remains high, and there'd still be no cars to match the rising demand. The 2023 C8 Stingray is billed to be released early in 2023, and it is expected to start pricing at around $63,000, and with the best options setting up the price for a figure that would even be above the $100,000 mark. So, well, this leaves fans and enthusiasts with an interesting decision to make. With the price of the C8 not looking to reduce anytime soon, and with clear indication that the market had not turned, it is still left to be seen if potential buyers would still move for the car at a high price, or just move for the Z06, that would surely offer more but come at a much more higher price. What are your thoughts on the C8's price? What position do you think this puts potential buyers or even owners in? Kindly respond in the comment section. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as well as turn on the notification bell button. Don't forget to also check out our video on the 2023 Chevrolet C8 Corvette and the details we're sure you'll be interested in. See you in the next video.